Questions?
Did you like the progress from USC to Wisconsin?
Yeah, we won. That's at the end of the day. That's what matters. I give all the credit in the world to starting at the top with Coach Rule. I mean, I thought he did a great job of motivating the guys all week and getting them ready to go. I look at it a little differently, obviously, just because I just got here, and it's been a long season for these guys, and a couple losses here and there, they start stacking up. All been through it, but I saw a very motivated team, practiced well, and was very energized as the week went on, and game day was pretty special, pretty spectacular. It's the first time I've experienced it on the home sidelines, but they were ready to play and got the win. So I know everybody's excited about that, and hopefully it motivates everybody to want to do it again here this week.
What position or element of the offense did you see the most improvement in from?
Everywhere. Honestly, I sat up here a week ago, and I don't remember what I said, but I felt encouraged. I know Dylan said it, felt encouraged, and it kind of is hard to justify feeling encouraged when you score 13 points and you're in a game that you can win and you don't. Okay, but it just felt good. It felt better. This is from people that said what it's been like. And so the players were excited about lining up and practicing, and had a good week of practice. Went out there and played better. I mean, it is. We ran the ball better. Second week in a row, I thought the O-line has played well. Dylan's been. He hasn't been hit a whole lot. He feels good. He's getting better. He's processing things well. We're throwing and catching it better. Our receivers are in the right spots. We improved in the red zone. We lost that game at USC because we couldn't finish drives, and then. That was a big focus last week, and we got 5 touchdowns in 7 red zone attempts. So moved the ball well. Overall was good improvement. And Wisconsin's a good football team. That's the way it's going to be every week in the Big Ten. So, we're excited about taking another step. It's going to be harder. We all know that. Iowa's a really good football team. They play great defense. They have for. What's it going on 25 years now? I remember my second year at Texas Tech, 2001, we played Iowa in the Alamo Bowl. And it's the same thing. 20-some years later, it's the same scheme, same coach, same everything. This is crazy, So it's going to take another good effort and more improvement to be able to, go to Iowa and play in that atmosphere against a good football team.
What would you say the key's been for EMT Johnson the last 2 weeks? I mean, 2 really, really strong games.
I think, everything starts up front, so the O-line's doing a good job. Tight ends are doing a good job. I think we're doing a good job as a staff of scheming things. And then just, give him as much credit as the rest of them. I mean, he's gaining confidence. He's been put in that role, and he's taken advantage of his opportunity. I don't know what the touches were before I was here. I didn't go back and look at that. I watched all the video, but I didn't study touches or anything. But he's certainly taken advantage of this opportunity. He goes in there and he's a difference maker. He was the offensive player of the week last week, and played well. So. Just give him credit for the amount of work that he's putting in and the attitude that he has. He's a great young man. And, I just say this, the culture that Coach Rule has here and the players, I call it the give a crap level, but just, how much they care and how much they want to play, enjoy playing, enjoy practicing, enjoy the process allows me to coach the way I want to coach. And proud of him for how he's been playing. He's been a huge spark here the last 2 weeks.
You talked about the culture. I mean, on the coaching staff front as well. I mean, coming in here, you never know how an existing group is going to react. Just how do you speak to just how they've welcomed you and made it an easy transition?
It's a little bit of an understatement. It was a rough week. The first week was like, I think everybody was like, how's this going to work? I was starting with me and Coach Rule's office. How's this going to work? I mean, And we kind of worked through it over the course of 2-3 days. And, I started getting into the offensive room with those coaches, and those coaches were looking at me crazy. I'm like, what are you doing here? I mean, it's just true. Each and every one of them were like, okay, and so we had to sit down and talk and start feeling things out and start working together. And I really thought, give those assistant coaches a lot of credit, man. They didn't bat an eye. I thought we were smart with how we handled it. I could have came here and changed specific things, and that wouldn't have been the right thing to do for the coaches, for the players. And so I was the one that had to learn, and it was, I ain't gonna lie, it was rough for about 2 weeks. I'm sitting there, with flashcards trying to learn offense and terminology. And, I know Coach mentioned this yesterday. It's just true. I mean, I got tongue-tied a few times in the game on Saturday and couldn't get out. I knew what I wanted. I just couldn't, say it, and so those coaches have to help me with it. And I get better at it every day, and so, give those coaches a lot of credit for, welcoming me and working well together. And I think we are working well together. As game playing's been great this week, and went out there and had a good practice, executed it, and look forward to getting better tomorrow.
Have you been able to add much? Sorry.
You're okay.
Have you been able to add much at all conceptually with what with what they're doing?
A little bit here and a little bit there. I mean, just they have everything in the playbook. I mean, this is a very large playbook. And it's, I think it just goes back to, Coach Rule's been an NFL guy, and the offense has kind of stayed the same for him, and he's added to it, and Sat's added to it, and then you got Coach Raiola, who's an NFL guy who's adding to it, and Glenn, who's an NFL guy that's adding to it, and so there's just all kinds of ideas and stuff. So that playbook got pretty big. So, I was just like, look, there's only one sheet, and whatever's on the sheet's what's going to get called. And so, that's my job, is to take all the information from everybody. They all give me ideas. They ask me if this is too much and let me know, and I go, I promise you I'll let you know. And so they give me all your ideas, and I'm going to organize it to where I know where things are, and I know we've repped them, and I know we're good at it. And if that's not the case, then I take them off the sheet, and they're not going to get called. So we probably shouldn't focus on those calls in practice. So we've done a good job of coming together and coming up with the plan of what makes sense to our players, and if it don't make sense to me, it ain't going to make sense to them. And so I think that part's been good.
To the language acquisition, when was the last time you had to learn a brand new language that you weren't familiar with?
I think when I was in college at Iowa Wesleyan, I played in the air raid, and so that's how Mike Leach, for a couple of years, at Iowa Wesleyan. Then I went to Valdosta. It was the same offense, and then I broke away, and that was my offense, and I've changed my offense over the course of years. That's 35 years ago, probably, in high school was probably a different offense. And I do think when they developed the air raid, I think they looked at a pro-style offense and said, we're going to do everything different than that. So learning the air raid, I promise you, everything's different. And so it's been good for me. It's one reason why I wanted to come, is to challenge myself to do that. It's one reason why I wanted to go to TCU at the beginning of the year, is to sit in a defensive room and challenge myself. And so it's been good. At the end of the day, there's only 11 people out there, but it's been a long time.
It's a more recent rivalry, but any nostalgia or enjoyment of being an Iowa guy in the Nebraska-Iowa game?
No, not really. No disrespect. I grew up a Hawkeye fan, but that was 35 years ago, and a great deal of respect for Coach Ferentz. And, I obviously followed it just growing up. I followed it when Bob Stoops was interviewing for Iowa and took Oklahoma, and then, Coach Ferentz, took the job. We played him in 2001, and so haven't competed against them or been around it for 22 years, so to speak. So, I know what they've done, what they've accomplished. I know Kinnick Stadium's a great place, and they have tremendous fan support, and they're right on top of you, and it's loud, and it's going to be wild.
Besides his obvious gifts, what stands out about Jakari Barney and just what has made him successful as a freshman?
Well, he's a fun kid to be around. I noticed that, and so, just his personality is infectious. He's fun to be around. He works hard. He had 2 or 3 really good practices when I first got here, and then his back started tightening up, and I was like, man, I guess you're not what I thought you were. And then a week later he snapped out of it, and he's been good for 2 weeks. Works hard, practices hard, understands, football, the offense, how to line up. We were probably playing, people in too many different spots. I was like, so why is he here on this play and he's there on another play, and so they're just kind of moving people around too much, and that's one thing I've always believed in, and being a receiver coach is just settle people in at spots, and you let them get comfortable, and it reduces the thinking, and they can go out there and they can just play, and so I've noticed that with him over the course of the last couple of weeks, just being more familiar and understanding kind of where to line up and what to do. My job's to take the thinking out of it for these guys, just a freshman, man. I told him, and I hesitate to say this, but I told him, you have some Tank Dell in you, because he does. I mean, he's not very big. He's twitchy. He can run. He's got good ball skills. It took Tank probably 3-4 years to be able to be in that mindset, and now he's doing it at the NFL level. This kid's a freshman. When Tank was a freshman, he was at Alabama A&M. And then he went JUCO, and then I got him, and a couple years later he is what he was. But he's got that kind of ability, and look forward to coaching him hard here over the next couple games, see where we're at.
I'm sure that it's been pretty day
What's
by
up,
day.
man?
Hey, how are you?
Good. You doing all right?
Doing well.
Didn't
I'm sure
recognize you in here last week. I'm joking.
I'm sure it's been pretty day by day for you since you got here. After this last game, you're used to doing in-homes. They don't do that now. Do you know what you're doing next week?
No.
You recruiting the portal, or what's ahead for you?
I'm taking Saturday off. That's the only thing I know. I will probably dig into that on Sunday. I said this last week. We don't know what we don't know yet. I mean, this is like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to know what's next. I told Coach Rule, I promise you I will put my head down and get after USC, and then get after Wisconsin, and then get after Iowa, and then we'll figure out where we're at. There's a bowl game on the horizon, which everybody's excited about. I know Coach is excited about the developmental practices, and that's going to take place, and I look forward to 14, 15 practices, whatever it is now, which is new, because like bowl games, when recruiting was taking up 90% of your time, I sat in front of the media, complaining about bowl games because you really couldn't practice. I mean, you're out on the road recruiting. You got to deal with finals. Sometimes you play the game on December 15th. I mean, when are you going to practice? The last 3 or 4 bowl games that I've been to, we literally practiced 5 times. It was a game week, and so I think that's going to be a little bit different now because of the rules and stuff. And, I know we'll take advantage of the developmental stuff, which is going to be awesome, because there's a bunch of freshman receivers that I don't even know who they are. It's honestly, I mean, I haven't coached them yet, and so look forward to doing that. As far as what's next, I don't know. I'm taking Saturday off. You heard me, Susan? I ain't coming in. I kind of relaxed a little bit last week. So my family came in town, had a lot of people here, so we had a little bit of downtime and stuff. So that was pretty cool. And then, after the game, we all celebrated, so that was pretty cool. And then back to work Sunday morning.
Dana, what did you see from the tight end position, just where Nate Borkacher, Luke Lindenmeyer were getting in there a lot last week, and conversely, Fedoni maybe not having a lot of snaps?
Yeah, that's I took that approach at every position. I mean, I know everybody wants to talk about the tight end position because of what happened on Saturday, but that's been the case at every single position. It's about competition, and competition makes people better, and so we're trying to develop competition at every single position. I do think that the tight ends have improved, especially Nate and Luke. They have improved, because I said what I said. I don't care who's played or who's the starter. If you're not performing at the level I need you to perform at, based on what looks like in practice, then we're going to change it. And that position's been changed based on the fact that Nate and Luke have really done a nice job. Okay, now I think that motivated Thomas. Thomas just had the best practice he's had since I've been here, and so I appreciate his attitude and his understanding, and he lined up and he practiced hard for 2 days, and so I would anticipate him going in there making plays on Saturday.
Hey Dana, outside of that conversation about what's going on here next month or next year, can you just speak to, from your aspirations, how do you want to get back to the place where you're a head coach again at the college level?
I'm happy being here right now. I love what I'm doing. I had more fun on Saturday than I've had in a long time. You know, I mean, there's an element of being head coach 13 years, not being able to enjoy it like I did on Saturday. You know, my history is calling offensive plays and offensive football, and I really enjoy it a lot, you know, and so I don't know. I ain't going to think about it. I ain't going to worry about it. You know, I'm happy here and appreciate the opportunity, you know, that coach gave me, making the most of it, you know, learning a lot from Coach Rule as far as how he's running the program. I'm not going to answer the question as far as what I want to do next.
Just to be clear, though, you're you've been called plays in a bowl game.
But yeah, I mean, that's the plan. You know, I don't know. I mean, you know, my plan's to focus on Iowa and try to beat Iowa and then see what happens after that.
Thank you.
Thank you.